Good morning, everyone. We're back. Mike Webb, your broker. Michael Cochran with CMG Home Loans. I'm Tina Kendall with Integrity Title. Amir, I can't ever say it, Amir. You know I can't.
I beat today.
There it is.
Today.
That's it. Your assistant broker. And we're here with this week's broker update. So who's going to get this party started?
Well, we will, because I'm going to turn it right over to Amir here pretty soon. The brains of the operation of between us, anyways. We got the beauty and the brain over here.
Well, we're over here.
And the money. Yeah.
Yeah, and the money. We got the money.
And then there's Mike.
Yeah, and then I'll carry the trash out. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We're going to kind of leave it up. We've got some information to cover for you. Good news is we don't have anything really heavy, like a form drop or anything. We did have the large well-attended Monday thing at Pro with Michael Heath. It was well attended. Hopefully a lot of you guys were on there. We'll go over and a little bit of that information and update it. But we're going to give you a treat today. I think we're going to show you what Amir did. He worked diligently with SkySlope to get this system set up for you for the buyer broker agreements. The brokerage is getting a bit inundated with buyer broker agreements, and
Which is great.
Love that, guys. Thank you. Everybody's using the forms and you're keeping yourself compliant. But Amir is going to show you how to do a real simple way to put these things in places. You can do it off your phone, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you to show them the SkySlope setup.
So yeah, I'm sure as you've tapped into some of their other meetings, you've heard me talk about SkySlope and putting together a really easy fluid method for completing a buyer brokerage agreement. Obviously there's three forms out there, but the one I've been focused on is the exclusive buyer brokerage agreement. So that's the one you'll see in there at the moment. But I want to applaud everybody for doing buyer brokerage agreements, getting on board with that, creating files, and but obviously it's a little weird because you are doing a buyer brokerage agreement. It's a contract between the company and your buyer, and so we need to have a copy of that. And so if you're using,
please.
well, not right. You don't need it. So
Not right away. Not till we get a
We're talking
contract.
about the agreements that people are using prior to getting under contract.
Exactly. And because it is a contract between the buyer and the brokerage, we need a copy of that, according to our policy and procedure, within 48 business hours.
We had that confirmed yesterday too with general counsel. It's not just Mike and Amir. We don't want to hang on to your documents. We have to have it for a multitude of reasons.
And so, I like that everybody's been creating a transaction to just upload a buyer brokerage agreement. But I think it's going to be cumbersome on all parties, because now you as the agent, you're going to see in your transactions a bunch of transactions that really aren't transactions yet because you don't have a contract. You just have a buyer brokerage agreement.
To be compliant with the
exactly,
changes.
to be compliant. So we're working on, a system in order to make this a little bit more fluid, so you don't have to go into Ruttenberg files, create a transaction just as a holding tank for your buyer brokerage agreement. So you go into SkySlope. SkySlope is a transaction management software. You can do anything in SkySlope that you would have done in Form Simplicity or Transaction Desk, but we have created a very fluid motion. So I'm going to have Byron pull up the SkySlope for us and show you exactly how to go into it from the MLS and to create a buyer brokerage agreement. So let me give Byron 1 minute to pull this up.
Yeah, any complaints about Byron, his email address
Is.
you know who doesn't want to hear it is Mike and Amir.
Or Tina.
Or Tina.
So
he's working on getting his screen shared right now. Y'all give us a second. One participant.
We'd be lost without Byron in here. Let's face it.
Sure.
Yeah, we would be lost without our lovable Byron. He's suffering from some allergies today, so we're going to give him a little break.
Desktop.
All right.
It's not.
Okay.
All right, you're gonna have to come back to this.
All right, we're going to come back to this.
We're gonna come back to this.
Technical issue. All right.
Technical difficulties.
Great job, Amir and Byron. I appreciate all the hard
Yeah,
work.
no problem. Sorry.
But anyways, why don't you want to just walk them through it real quick?
Sure.
It's pretty simple.
It is very simple. When you go and log into Stellar MLS, Under your products and services, just like you would go into Transaction Desk or Form Simplicity, there's another icon that says Sky Slope Forms. You click on that. I already have Sky Slope set up for every agent in the brokerage. You may just need to log in for the first time and create your profile. Then after that, hit the Libraries tab and then add in the Florida Association of Realtors library, as well as Stellar MLS library and Charles Rutenberg Realty library. So that'll bring in all your forms. Then after that, you're at the main screen. And on the main screen, you'll see in the upper right-hand corner, a purple button that says Start Buyer's Agreement. You click on that button. It's going to bring up the various buyer brokerage agreements. You're always going to want to choose the EBBA 7TB. So 7TB for transaction broker. Click on that, hit the add the form. It'll pull up the document. You fill in the information, buyer's name, brokerage, or brokerage should already be pre-filled out. Any other terms, your commission, and then in the bottom right-hand corner, it'll say send for signatures. You click on that, it'll bring up the DigiSign package, and that's the other benefit for using SkySlope is you no longer have to pay for the e-sign platform that you would have with Transaction Desk or Form Simplicity. It's in all the documents that we have in there are already pre-labeled. So you don't have to go through and drag a signature here, drag an initial here. It's already there. So as soon as you put in the buyer's information, scroll through the document, put in the commission, and then just hit send. It sends it out. Once when they've signed it, you signed it, it'll go back to a holding tank in SkySlope where you can access it, we can access it. So when you do have that contract, then you can grab it from there, create a file in Rutenberg Files. Whereas, if you do it the other way, then you got to go into Transaction Desk, create just how you typically would. And then you got to go and actually create a transaction in Rutenberg Files, which is just going to clog up your system. So I would give SkySlope a try. Like I said, it comes free to you. So I think it's a pretty phenomenal system.
Yeah, guys, and I think it's really important for you to understand that this is a way that you can put them in there. It's easy to get it there. Your default speaker has changed. We okay over here, Byron?
Kind of sort of.
Okay, so, and more importantly, let's say that the Stellar requests, gets a complaint against you. This is how it's going to work. Stellar gets a complaint and says that, somebody has, wants verification that you have a buyer's agreement. In the event that you can't respond to them, they could call the brokerage and we could send it over for you to keep you from receiving a $500 fine.
Yeah.
We're really, don't want anybody hit with this. It's 24 hours, it's $500 fine on your first offense, $2,500 the second offense. It's a pretty big deal. So we're trying to avoid that for you.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
All right. So guys, we are gonna, put your questions in there, hold them to the end so they don't get lost too much. We are gonna open this up for questions pretty soon today, but we do want to, real quick, another little piece of housekeeping. You got the SkySlope. Another piece of follow-up from Mondays is the listing agreement verbiage when they're going to charge a little more to represent, to facilitate the transaction for an unrepresented buyer.
Right. I know that Michael Heath had put out some verbiage, and whether if you were there, I'm sure you got the verbiage, but if you didn't, I just want to put it out there. So in the listing agreement, paragraph 8A, that's where you're putting what your fee is, what you're charging the seller for your services. And then, of course, in paragraph 10B, that's where you'd put what if any, the seller wants to offer to a buyer's agent. And then, of course, 10C if they're not offering anything. But what happens when the buyer comes to you directly, or maybe the buyer goes to the seller directly and says they want to buy the property and they don't have an agent? Well, now you're going to end up writing the contract for the buyer. And how do you get paid for that? I assume you want to get paid a little bit more for doing more work. So what I would do in additional terms, paragraph 15 of the listing agreement, I would write in there something like, if listing agent procures the buyer, or if buyer is unrepresented, then the total compensation will be
whatever that number
10
may be.
bananas.
Yeah,
or, you know,
whatever it is, whatever you're charging,
Taco.
yeah.
you know.
So,
Exactly. So, you know, if you need help with that verbiage, feel free to give us a call. We're happy to, you know, run it through. I'm gonna be working on a cheat sheet that hopefully you can pop into Ruttenberg files, which will have some maybe some flow charts on, you know, if this happens, then do this, with also the verbiage to add into the end of the listing agreement for situations like this, as well as you know, if you're adding compensation into a contract, what verbiage you should do, and how that would work. And then just before I pass it back over to Mike, I know Sheila at the front, wanted me to mention to everybody, you know, with the changes coming in and the additional paperwork, that has to be done. We're extremely busy at the office. You know, we're number one, taking phone calls. Number two, we're doing compliance. So please just allow them a little bit extra time to get to the documents that need to be approved.
Yeah.
You know, we're walking into 700
documents every morning.
every day that need to get approved. So, you know, with our staff of 6 here, it's,
Yeah.
you know.
And we are staffed up
Yeah.
with the new training broker and, you know, Jim is with us full time. So, this is what we're doing around here to really be staffed up to answer your questions. So I'm gonna digress 1 second and say, do we want to run through how, now that we've got the screen share up, you want to run through real quick one time how they could do it?
Yeah,
So we're gonna back up,
it's-
guys, and Amir and Byron are gonna go through showing you how to log in and go to where you need to in SkySlope to make this really easy for
Yeah,
you.
so right now on the screen, you know, I've already logged into to Stellar, and now I'm at that main page where all my pinned favorites are, or products and services. I have SkySlope forms in my pinned favorites, but if you haven't done that yet, you may want to go down a little bit to where it says products and services and click on that, and then you'll see all the icons. You can click on that.
Yeah, click on that one, Byron. We'll
Just-
go in.
Just so
It
everybody can
shows
see. So then you see all
Look at
those SkySlope forms. You have SkySlope offers, SkySlope forms. SkySlope forms is where you want to be. You know, you can obviously look at what SkySlope offers is. It's more of on a listing side of things, but go ahead and click on SkySlope forms. Not the 3 buttons, but. And then it'll take you right into SkySlope. If you've never logged into SkySlope before, it's like I said, it's gonna have you create a profile and stuff. So here's your main page. Right there on the upper right-hand corner, it has that bluish button. Sorry, go down.
Yeah.
Blue, on my computer in my office, it's purple, but here it's blue. Click on the blue button, start buyer agreement. Now it has your 4 forms there, or 4 forms.
Yeah.
The top one is the exclusive buyer brokerage agreement, EBBA 7TV. So you'll want to hit the add button there. And then down at the bottom, it says next. It says the form's added, hit next, yep. And then it brings you right into the document. So here you can fill out what the buyer's name is, you know, put Joe Seller or whatever, Frank. Or Jordan.
Jordan.
And then go ahead and put in
Bring
an
the buyer.
email address. You can put in whatever, you know, something bogus at the moment. Sure, that works. And that's really all the information you need. Go up to action required. And needs to sign. So then go down and hit save. Cool. And then from there, you know, you can put in the term, type, property type, things along those lines.
Okay.
And then, you know, you scroll down to the next page, you put in your retainer fee, whatever your compensation is gonna be. You don't have to fill it out, you can keep scrolling.
Yeah.
Keep scrolling. Keep scrolling. Okay, so then they pre-populated the consumer name there. And then, of course, if there was a second buyer, it'd have that information. And then down in the bottom right-hand corner, you have prepare signature. You can name it. I would suggest putting the actual buyer's name in there, along with buyer brokerage agreement, BBA. There you go, hit save. And then as you are the agent, because it'll have that there, I would put yourself that you need to sign as well.
Right, because you are allowed to sign these agreements. The brokerage does not need to sign them.
And then hit next. And so.
Hit.
Yeah, don't send it to me in a DocuSign.
And so here it'll take you into the DigiSign area. And so you can just scroll down. And see, it's already got the fields pre-populated for you. The initial blocks are already in there. It'll be that way on all 3 pages. Keep scrolling, scroll, everything's there if you wanted to, in the dispute resolution, add your initial. Just, make sure that it's under you, where it says signer, it's under me, and then hit initial, and then you can drag it over there. What's that?
You ever do that?
Go down a little bit, see if our signature's there. Okay, so where it says authorized signature, I'm already the signer there, so go ahead and hit signature bar up at the top.
Top, the middle.
There you go. And then go down to where it says authorized and then just click. And then it pops it right in there, add a date to it. It's gonna have a date when you sign it, but I always like to add the date in the date
Where do you have the date?
form.
Over
What's
to
that?
the left, straight to the left.
So where it said signature, go up. No, go up, all the way.
Top, top, top.
Keep going, right there, go over, date,
Uh,
and then go down and hit click it. There you go.
wow,
And
very
you can
nice.
move it wherever you need. Perfect. And that's all you need, and then just hit send. Okay, now you've put 2 dates in there, so now you gotta delete that last one.
Alright.
And then just hit send, and that's, you can title it whatever you wanna title it. Just leave it.
Frank Seller,
Fire brokerage agreement.
Fire Broker agreement, yeah, absolutely.
And then hit send for signatures. It'll ask you if you wanna sign it now, you can go ahead and sign it. You can do this from your computer, laptop, iPad, phone, whatever you want. So you can either hit I'm done or sign it now, so that way, your buyer sees that you've already signed it. And then it'll go back to a holding tank once when your buyer signed it.
Yeah, so you can do this right off your phone. Let's say you get a call on the fly and you're out in the field and, you have a quick conversation with somebody and you say, well, listen, it's, industry practices now. I have to have an agreement signed before I get you in this property. I'm sending it to you right now. Boom, send it to them. You got them, you're covered. So thank you, Amir,
Of
for
course.
really working on this project with SkySlope to get this done for us.
If there's a relog in and we're at the beginning of Sky Slope forms, where do we go to find it? Just,
You would go under, actually, when you, in your file, so when you go to relog into SkySlope Forms, it'll have all your transactions right there.
all your previous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, it'll be there. So, and again, we have access to it too. That keeps us compliant with the state and the settlement and also with Stellar.
Mhm.
Again, we're doing this really for you guys' benefit. It's gonna be your fine. And if they can't get a hold of you and somebody complains that they don't think you had a buyer's agreement with, Frank Seller, the buyer here, and they can't get a hold of you, we can send it over to them really quick, save you some money. So that's that. Thank you for backing up on that. All right, we got some other
We're
people
doing
here.
this-
So,
We're doing this instead of putting it in Ruttenberg files till we have an actual transaction.
That's how I would handle it. Yeah, I mean, I think this is the easier way to go about it. But if you're not gonna use this, then yes, you're gonna have to create a transaction in Ruttenberg files and keep it in there so we can all have access to it.
All right, we got any more questions on SkySlope right now? Are we good? All right, we're gonna move on, and so we're pretty excited about the promotion that I'm pretty excited, the promotion that CMG rolled out. And by the way, you just told us the owner of the company, Christopher, what's his last name?
Yes.
Yeah, was recognized by some of the industry elite or industry
Yeah.
insiders. As far as, being a go-to expert with the company. We were just having this conversation in the financial markets. So pretty cool that you're working for a company that's recognized that. But talk to them about the promotion that CMG's got going on.
Well, Mike and I were talking about affordability and rates are definitely going in a positive direction. We've seen rates even from the time we made this flyer, which is actually located on your guys' Facebook post. So if you want to reference it, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's got my information as well as Candace Blackburn's information. She's also another loan officer that's great, that's assigned to this office to support you. And we've seen rates, even since we made this flyer, go from mid-6s to low 6s. We're seeing rates kind of in the upper 5s to low 6s. I locked somebody the other day at 6.125. They weren't a perfect scenario, so that was really cool to see the progress and the lowering of rates so far. Hopefully more to come. Regardless of the rate, our promotion is we're offering a 1-year buy down. So basically, CMG will cover the first year of buying down the rate by 1%. So if the rates, for example, I just indicated I locked somebody at 6.125, under that rate lock, they would get 5.125 for the first year and we would cover it. So that would give them, in this example, about $300 in savings for a $500,000 purchase on a home, which is pretty significant. And hopefully we'll get some buyers off the fence for you. If rates come down and they want to refinance, there's no penalty. They can do that anytime, and then they'll just get a refund on any surplus of money in that account.
I think it's a great, I don't want to call it a Band-Aid, but kind of a Band-Aid for where we're pretty sure that rates are coming down and headed
Yeah.
in the right direction.
We're seeing them.
The bad news is that bad news to Wall Street is good news for us to get these rates coming. As we saw, Wall Street had a pretty rough week last week because of the reports of the jobs report and, you know, some different things. So from what I'm hearing is that, you know, most people think that, you know, by the end of next year, we might be in the 5% range. So there's a situation, you could have a buyer that's been, you know, ready to go, but just hung up on a little higher rates. Take the temporary situation, get it, you know, get it done for a year, and maybe in 18 months, they refi at, you know, 5 or less. We don't know. Can't speculate on all of that. I just think it's a great product out there right now. And you and I were talking too. You know, what was your numbers you were saying for every quarter point or what, half a point? What was it? That was interesting.
So every 0.25% gives you $20,000 more in purchasing power. So as rates continue to drop, you'll see that people will be able to either afford a home that they've been thinking about, or it'll push them up to even a more expensive home. So that's what will kind of drive values, and also, you know, buyer and seller motivation, because you'll have the affordability will improve.
Yeah, and you know, if it dropped the whole point, my quick math says that's 80 grand more buying power that they had, which unfortunately for the first time home buyers and some of the people in the entry level market, that might just get them into the home now. To their starter home with the prices of where they are.
Where they're at.
And that's a great opportunity, you know. So I was listening to you know, Zillow's chief economist, and I listen to her once a month when she comes out with a report. And if you don't know, Zillow dashboards is a good place to get information, you guys. You can go by zip code and see, because real estate is hyper local. Let's be real, you know, you can get it down to zip code, neighborhood, street within the neighborhood. I can tell you there's some streets right now in Sarasota that lost a lot of value.
Yeah.
You know, because it's hyper local. So you know, this is really good information that's coming out there that you can act on. And you gotta be proactive and out there and keep your head down. Don't worry about all the changes. Keep your head down and go out there and take care of your buyers and sellers one at a time and get them in the best product that you can. And all the indicators are telling us that there's pent up demand for buyers. We know that they just got on the sidelines for a while. Rates went up, inventory's still been down. So rates come down, that's going to release some of the pent up demand. Here's the uniqueness to it. We have pent up demand from sellers too.
Yeah.
So we're about to enter into a fun market, guys. Maybe the rest of this year and in 25. You've got the buyers and sellers entering the market at the same time. We all know sellers have been on the sidelines because they're trapped in low rates. That's a good trap to be, but they're, you know, people in there in sub 3% mortgage rates, and they just couldn't swallow the pill to go, I'm going to sell because I either need to upsize or downsize or relocate, and I'm going to trade in my 3% mortgage for a 6.5% mortgage and lose all that buying power. And it just wasn't fun. So yeah, go ahead and pull that graphic up, Byron. Thank you. So guys, here's another little thing. I really hope you're using this SunStats, and I hope that you're using PhotoFi too. They're putting product out there that makes it super simple for you. This through Florida Realtors. I think PhotoFi, you can access it through Florida Realtors, and then I think you better make an account with NAR. But I can tell you, if somebody's as tech challenged as me can do it, I promise you, you guys can. I get these every week. If you guys aren't using these in your marketing material and stuff and explaining what's going on, you know, let's look at the bad news. The bad news is closed sales are down 13% year over year. The bad news is dollar volume is down because, you know, dollar volume followed the closed sales. That's pretty simple in there. But let's see what else. Pendings were down from year over year, but not as much, I see. Look at the numbers, but look at the arrows going up. New listings, active inventory, and our sales price is still going up. It's strange, guys, that, you know, we're down in sales. It's an anomaly. The market's still trying to shake out from the money that was pumped into the economy artificially through COVID and all of that, and the demand, the weird out there. So, but there's a ton. This isn't, you know, you get into SunStats, You can manipulate that data any way you need. I would be taking this stuff on listing appointments. I would definitely be taking it on buyer broker appointments. And again, you can manipulate the data and get all different metrics that you want in there, other than what I got. But what I heard, and another point I would be using, I don't know that I'm a data nerd, but I do like data to support my argument when I'm trying to explain to a seller or buyer why this is worth the property or why it's not worth this price. And I would tell you, the Zillow dashboard is full of information, and nobody has more data than they do nationally to crunch it, and you can break it down. And these are just really ways to separate yourself from the average agents out there that's not using this points. What do you guys see? What are you feeling?
As far as prices?
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing most of our appraisals nowadays, they're coming in at contract price. We're seeing year over year, the prices are still going up, month over month, the prices are still going up. It's not the same, when rates were really low and the competition was really high, but we're continuing to see in each marketplace, 2 to 5% increase, probably 2% across the board. There's a few sub markets that there's a slight decrease, but overall it's still increasing.
Still increasing, not having a lot of appraisal issues at this point.
No.
No. And that's what the economist was predicted too, said with this anomaly in the market, they don't predict that we're gonna see any price correction. They predict softer than what we've seen, which we need,
Yes.
by the way, is we need the 2% for a while and still chugging in the right direction. So, the pent up demand that's about to bust loose, I think is exciting. They also said that 5% is the tipping point. And again, I think I used the term 6% gets the need to buyers off the fence. I need to buy because we have a family member.
We're moving.
We're moving, a death,
yeah.
divorce, can't,
Right.
relocated for work and all different things. So I like the terminology she used. 6% gets the need to buyers off the fence. 5% gets the want to buyers off the fence. That's a great number. Now, if it were me and I saw this wave coming, I'd be paddling really hard on a paddleboard to catch that wave. It's going to launch you up on the beach. And that's just by getting out there talking to people, getting listing agreements signed and getting buyer broker agreements signed and getting your business in the hopper. So I think that there's good days on the horizon. And again, it's not that complicated. When this country typically sells 4.5 to 5 million properties and we backlog them for 2 years in a row, which we have, there's going to be a dumping point.
Yes.
It goes up, it goes down. It's going to come. So,
There's a lot of inventory out there.
There is.
There's a lot of inventory out there. So with these rates starting to come down,
Yeah.
I think we're gonna see it.
Well, we've already started to see.
We have.
Oh, we're seeing them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not,
Contracts are,
I mean, we're not coming into 700 buyer brokerage agreements, we're coming into
Right.
new contracts.
Yeah, it's not all buyer broker
Right.
New
agreements.
listing agreements, so we definitely see the demand.
And Florida Realtors put this out today, 16% increase in applications, highest level in 2 years. Refinancings were up 60% versus a year ago. So good days for you guys over there. We've all weathered a kind of a funky market the last 2 years. We're doing transactions. I will tell you this too. The average Zillow's in June, average time on market, hold on 1 second. The average time on market was 15 days.
yeah,
15 days, guys. They're still flying off the shelf if you price them right.
Right.
Biggest challenge a listing agent will have is getting it through to the seller, to the consumer, that it's not 2021 anymore. We can't just pick a number and throw a dart at it and go, that's what I want.
Right.
we can't just stick a sign in the yard and before you even get it down in the yard, pull it right back out because your house is already out of contract.
That's right.
Those days are over here, out of here.
That's right. Byron, you got a question. Which one do we want to talk about? The
So,
first one?
a couple of the questions up there, regarding the sky slope and that you're not seeing those 3 options or, you're not seeing the libraries. Like I said, after you create your account, you have to go in and add in those libraries to your account. If you're having trouble with it, there is a chat feature on SkySlope and they're really good about the chat. Or shoot me an email and I can get you SkySlope's phone number. And I know that Helen was having a very similar issue yesterday or the day before. She ended up calling SkySlope and it was just a matter of her adding the libraries into her account. And
Joe just said, as soon as he added the library, his stuff she found the forms.
Okay, just to add.
We'll get to the phone number. I just don't have it right now, dude. So.
Yeah, and there's a simple chat box in there. I love when I'm in a program and there's a chat right there. And I don't know
Right.
something, I can just get an answer right there. I'm gonna back up too. We're gonna bounce around a little bit today because again, we don't have heavy forms to drop on you. You can also throw in the chat there topics you guys would like to know about, and Byron will keep track of it for us and tell us, hey, they want to hear about this. Byron's laughing at me. And he'll tell us, if you guys want to bring, do we need an appraiser in here? Different things that you want to talk about. Because, that's going to be issues moving forward, especially when you start building some commissions under the contract. Let's say
Right.
there's a seller that doesn't want to pay a commission and they're listed at 500. How about I offer 510 and you pay me 10 grand? Okay, that's gonna happen.
Appraiser's coming because I talked to him last week. We're gonna do a new market analysis class versus appraisals to try to help you with the new way to do it.
We're gonna do we got an appraiser coming in, what'd you say, next month? Next month, we got a great appraiser coming in that's gonna tell you how to do market analysis with that built in. Really good tools for you. So if there's topics you guys need us to address, just throw them down in the comments and we'll work on getting those experts in here. To back up 1 second though, and do a little bit of housekeeping from the yesterday or Monday's meeting. Remember, if you're using a listing agreement and you check tends to be,
Okay.
the seller is going to offer some compensation to the buyer, and you wind up getting seller to buyer broker agreement or buyer commission agreement signed. Be careful with that agreement. If you get them to say you've got a blank one signed, you got one signed, you send it over at the beginning of the transaction to another agent on the other side, and maybe it's at X%. Now, if the contract gets negotiated for something different than that, you're going to have to change that, and you're going to have to modify. Don't do it backwards.
Yeah.
Make sure you get the agreement that the seller has agreed to pay that person modified prior to locking them into a contract, or we're going to have a problem.
I think at the end of the day, if you had a seller provide you with a compensation agreement that said they were gonna pay you 3%, but then it got negotiated in the contract that they were gonna that it came down to 2.5% or 2%. Yes, you have an agreement here from the seller, but what's in the contract, that's what's gonna prevail.
That's right.
Do you still have the legal right based upon the compensation agreement to go back to the seller and try to get that other 0.5% after settlement?
Maybe.
Maybe. So if I was the listing agent and this was happening, I would make sure that before my seller signs that contract to make it effective with that 2.5%, you grab the modification to the compensation agreement, seller to buyer's broker, have that updated to reflect the 2.5%. And get the buyer's agent to sign that prior to your seller ratifying the contract.
Yeah, because let's just, look at this and try to see around the corner. Let's say that, it kind of slipped through the cracks, and I could see where that would happen, but we got to really be tight on our deals. So you send it over 2 weeks earlier, or a week earlier, or several days earlier, and you kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
Now it gets negotiated for something less than the listing agent sent over to the buyer's agent. You could be on the hook for that.
Yeah.
Listing agent. You could be on the hook for that. If they sue us, guess what? If you agreed to pay them 3% and the contract got negotiated down to 2%, you could be on the hook for 1%. So you really got to watch your deals. And I know where people are gonna go. That's why I have a compliance department. Yeah, we're not looking at that.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm just gonna tell you straight up. Don't think Sheila.
That's your paycheck, right?
That's your check,
Your
and you're
paycheck.
gonna catch it. And we're looking for signatures and dates and initials and making sure you're using the right forms. We're not looking at the meat in the form. That's on you guys.
Right.
Okay. So, all right, what else we got? You got another question? For
I
us,
know, I think it was Kathy had a question, if we can scroll up,
No, it's
The forms you showed or no? Okay, Mary Ann.
she was talking about the forms.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
So I think we have a question about going over the forms. We have a forms workshop. There was one scheduled for today. Unfortunately, it's had to be rescheduled to next Wednesday, the 21st, and that's gonna be with Amir and Byron. And it's an actual workshop. It's gonna be in-house. not offered via Zoom, to go over these forms with you guys, help you fill them out correctly, steer you in the right direction for moving forward with all these changes that are coming on.
Yeah, and Tina didn't even know I'm gonna say this, but I'm gonna tell you, the owner of the company called me and Tina into a little session the other day.
Yes.
And Tina very effectively and articulately explained to
Look at me.
the owner exactly what's going on. The owner wanted a quick little synopsis of what are these changes all about. And Tina jumped on the deal there and explained it to her.
What
and
did you say, Mike?
it was on point. So my point is Tina, Byron, her crew, Michael, these guys, they know what's going on. They've been informed. And I'm gonna tell you, if you're working with industry partners that don't, you're gonna have problems.
Right.
They don't know what they can close and what they can't close. They don't know how to get the deal done and build it into the contract like Michael and his team do. So, you know, if it were me, I'd make sure I was using somebody that knew what they were doing.
Right.
You know, that my industry partners don't need to hang my deal up because they don't understand, what do you mean this seller to buyer broker commission?
Right,
Came up,
yeah.
I don't know what to do with this. We can't do this. And they start, because they're not informed of what's going on. And I'm gonna tell you, most of the industry I'm finding is that way.
We're keeping our, at Integrity, we're keeping our staff informed, as things keep moving along. We're actually be having Michael Heath come into our office and kind of do a training with our staff.
Yeah.
You know, we're moving forward, I'm telling the staff, these new forms are out. Michael's gonna be coming into our office and just doing in-house with our staff, so everybody is up on what's happening,
Good.
staying in line.
And Michael and I have been talking and communicating regular,
Right.
you know, we talked with general counsel. We got Michael, the real estate expert, attorney. We also have other counsel that we have to communicate with back and forth sometimes, the antitrust attorneys. So we kind of have a perspective on it that most
Yeah.
brokerages don't, just simply because of our size and the fact that we're a named defendant. And-
Not funny.
And you know,
That's not funny.
Funny, not funny.
Yeah.
Well,
And
the
we
thing
are,
is, sorry,
no.
thing is that, yeah, we are a named defendant. And so we're actively going through an antitrust case right now. And so when you're out there and you're seeing these changes, not every brokerage out there is gonna be adopting the same changes that we are. And I think it's gonna be very important as we train you. You need to train the realtor
Yes.
community out there as well.
Yes.
Cause there's gonna be a lot of smaller brokerages who aren't ready to adopt the changes and they're
Right.
still fighting it. And so we need to educate them. You know.
It's gonna be the wild
Because
west.
that's why I saw a question on there about how can we, you know, since the MLS is not posting commissions anymore, but I'm still getting agents telling me that the seller's offering compensation, but it's 2% minus $395. Well, how are you charging an MLS fee when it's not even?
Yeah,
There's not
there's
even
no
a
more,
lot.
there's no more.
And it's not like that fee is coming out of the buyer, the total compensation anymore. This is what the seller's offering. How are you as a listing agent taking it away from dictating what the seller's offering? You're telling me that the seller really wanted to offer the buyer's agent 3% minus $395? No,
Right,
they didn't.
no, they
So
didn't.
it becomes, that's where you need to stand up against that other agent, have these conversations and educate them about it.
Yeah, drag some people along with you. If you can do a Rattenberg agent, we love it. And we are seeing on social media, some of the agents jumping in and coaching the other agents.
Yes.
When there's questions in there and then reminding them, hey, there's Wednesday broker updates. There's a ton of training going on.
Right.
There's monthly meetings with,
Right.
you can meet with an attorney and ask questions. So.
We're at
point
pro
in the
every
right
month.
direction. We're pro
Every month, and that's open to anybody.
Yeah, and that's why we opened this up to
Right.
not just Ruttenberg agents, why we increased our Zoom account and all kinds of things, to open it up to all agents out there, because and Michael and I were having this conversation yesterday, he's like, hey, I got a bunch of brokers I work for down in my area that don't really understand what's going on, could you give me a cheat sheet? So he can inform them, and like he said, with these changes, if we can get everybody, not that we're trying to get everybody to do the business the exact same way, but to understand the overall concept.
Right.
And what's going on. And if for all of these people, how many people we have in here today, right, Byron?
49.
49. So I don't know if all of you guys were there Monday or not, or what percentage. I'm sure not all of you could have been. But I'm trying to clear up some maybe misconceptions or language that I'm using when I use the word, we're not sharing commissions anymore. It's not changed any way that it ever was before. We're still having the seller pay you that commission. We are just not, if Tina's the buyer's broker, Mir's the buyer, the seller is, and Michael's the seller, and I'm the listing agent. We're just not taking the money from the seller as the brokerage, giving it to Tina's brokerage or to pay down the side. We're having the seller pay it direct.
Right.
Nothing's changed, guys. We're just taking us out of the loop of
Yes.
holding the money.
Right.
Yeah, it's just the same way, but that's why we have these forums to facilitate you guys doing it. So when you get out there and go, I've heard stuff, Webb's not letting us negotiate a full commission. What does that even mean?
Web,
What does that even mean? I don't know what you mean. When you go on a listing appointment, you're negotiating your commission. And if you're prudent, part of the marketing plan, when you talk about an overall marketing plan for this property, it should be about, this is what I'm going to do. This is our price. That's pretty darn important, isn't it?
yeah,
And here's my drone shots and my professional photography and my floor plans and my, 3D tours. And this is the different things we're going to do. And we can put it over here. In that conversation, it's just as important to talk about the marketing as to, we should incentivize buyer's agents out there to bring us a buyer. So it's important to have that conversation and prepare the seller that. It's just not important for you to negotiate it for the buyer on the other side. Warm your seller up to the idea.
right.
Let the other side go fight for their commission.
I mean, your settlement statements are really, when they come to you from title, 90% of them, maybe 95, are gonna look the same.
That's right.
The commission is gonna be on the seller's side of the settlement statement. Unless maybe the seller is gonna say, well, I'll offer a 2% to the buyer's,
Yeah,
well,
to the buyer or the agent.
to the agent.
Okay, a commission.
A 2% commission to the buyer's agent, correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
But then you, as the buyer's agent, you have your buyer broker agreement that
Right.
says 3%.
Mhm.
Okay, so then 1% is gonna end up over on the buyer's side of the transaction,
Yeah.
unless you've modified it from that original buyer broker agreement at 3%.
So you follow what Tina just said. She said if you're working for 3% for a buyer and you can negotiate 2% from the seller in the contract or however you're negotiating, then your buyer's on the hook for 1%.
Right.
That would show on the other side of the transaction. The difference has been that listing agreement that we had that had the bucket of commissions, like it was 6%, I'm keeping 3, I'm offering 3. Now we're just cutting us right out of that picture. We're not gonna negotiate your commission. But, listen, a good buyer's agent's gonna make a good argument as to why you wanna pay me. And that's what we're gonna see in the negotiation. All right.
I see Carrie asking about doing all classes on Zoom. I hate to say no, but
No.
But no, the workshops are meant
Hands-on.
for in-house hands-on. And that's why we're trying to do them twice a month, so you guys can have a chance to sit down with Amir and Byron and actually look at these forms and talk about points that maybe you're having a problem with, not sure how to fill it out. So,
Your own cheat sheets.
Cheat sheets
But-
would be
but-
fantastic. We're
but
working on it.
we're working on the cheat
Well,
sheets,
you can make them in the workshop.
right?
Yeah, you can
So,
make them in the workshop.
Yeah, come to the workshop,
The
you'll make
virus
yourself a
was
cheat
postponed.
sheet. That, not Byron did not postpone.
Hold on, go back up. I want to address one question up. So yeah, the class notice is going out on the 17th. That would be a great time for you guys to start making phone calls to your clients and letting them know that they're going to get this
They
stuff.
can't see that.
Oh, sorry, they can't see that. There was also, the question is, or the statement, there was also a NAR email about the notices that are being, Byron, put it back. In class action notice going out, it would be extremely helpful to have some scripts to explain the changes like Tina did. Tina's awesome. Or how to educate the consumer in a professional manner. So check your Florida realtors today, right here on this. They got a site to go to when that comes out that you can point your consumer to. Personally, I don't want to point my consumer to a site. I want to point my consumer, my client, to me. I want to be in charge of that
Hey,
conversation.
I know what's going on.
I know, and yeah, if you don't know, and they do have the scripts, by the way, that's why I talked about PhotoFi right in the beginning. They've got some pre-scripted social media scripts. Literally, it's if you get that account going, you can post some pretty cool stuff, just like boom, 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 and it posts, it's branded to you and everything, and it's got great information. But again, this is a great opportunity to pick up the phone and have conversations. You know how people have been so, oh my God, I know I'm supposed to call my sphere once a month or once every 2 months and, do my follow-up stuff. But then they go, well, what am I going to talk about? You got a great reason to talk to people right now. So I'm gonna tell you something. About 45 days ago, my 18-year-old daughter got the class action notice as a home seller. So don't put a whole lot of stock in how confident and competent these clowns are that are sending out the class notice. It's not coming from NAR, by the way. It's coming from a third party that was hired by the plaintiff's attorneys with all of our money, by the way. Am I showing my anger? By the 500 million that the attorneys got.
Simmer down, hot sauce.
Yes, so they're required to send a notice out to the class. The class is all sellers between 2019 and 2023 or whatever the cutoff date was. And we've done the math. They've done an amazing consumer job here to protect these poor sellers that were taken advantage of by the realtor cartel. And everybody's gonna get about $23.
Yeah.
So that's what the seller's gonna get in their class action. So
Debbie was asking about cheat sheets. So on the mortgage side, there's a great cheat sheet that you went up handy. It's a seller concessions sheet. I've sent it out a couple times. Happy to get it to you again. That's really helpful when you're doing the contracts. If you're going to do a seller concession, then you know how much each loan product will allow, and that's important to know.
Because I think we've talked about it a couple times. You don't want to lump in your seller concession with what your seller is going to pay to the buyer's agent.
Correct.
We talked
Well,
about.
that could change.
Oh, boy. Yeah, it can, everything can change.
If you lump it together, then it counts under that category for the loan program. So if that loan program only allows 2% seller concessions or 3% seller concessions, then you're limited to that number. If you separate it, you can do both. You just have to put language that this is specifically for commission and this is for concessions. So if you both get together, you have to be within the chart. If you separate it, just that one piece has to be within the chart.
Debbie says she's gotten 5 of those seller notice things. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing out there, Debbie. And moving back up, Catherine, about the pre-touring agreement. The pre-touring agreement is literally the basic minimum level of compliance to get you in the door to show somebody a property. Amir has said this 100 times. I would enter into another agreement after I would elevate that relationship.
Yeah, I would, if you are just meeting this person and you just want to put something together that's very basic, then sure, go ahead and use the pre-touring agreement. But if you really start working with this person, start to develop a good relationship, and you really want to secure that relationship, to tell them exactly what your duties are, what their duties are to you, and make it an exclusive agreement, because that's what it is, an exclusive agreement. Then yeah, you should, before you write an offer, I would have them sign an exclusive buyer brokerage agreement.
So yeah, no comment on the wish wording. I got your message here, Catherine. I don't know. We didn't write that agreement. Now we didn't come up with that. I wish I had better news for you, but I don't. That's a Florida Realtors form. Buyer wishes to use the agent. Joanna Watkins is chief legal counsel over at Florida Realtors. That's a question you probably want to direct her.
Got her number?
Probably not.
All right, guys, what else we got? We're gonna do a wrap here and get
Yeah.
out of here early today because there's a lot going on around the
Right.
brokerage. If you've got anything really important, shoot it in here right now or that you're urgent about. We do have brokers taking phone calls all day. We do need you guys that are informed, keep helping us out, help your colleagues out. And whether they're, whether they're with another office, your office, help them out. Don't get into a fight with them. Just say, did you see this information coming from your brokers? We are getting calls from brokers. We're getting calls from attorneys. We're getting calls from a lot of people. And I don't mean just Michael about, hey, we hear you guys are kind of out in the front on this. What are you doing? And this is what we're doing. We're just trying to stay. Amir and I have been on this for 6-7 months, man, every day. So half the time Amir's got an earpiece in his ear listening to some kind of audio, something from Stellar or Florida Realtors or something. And he's got a phone in the other ear talking to an agent about an escrow dispute or something. So
I'm gonna kind of just reiterate what Mike said a few minutes ago, we're all working together. Your affiliates, so you've got your brokers, you've got Integrity Title, you've got Michael Cochran here with CMG, Bernardo.
Bernardo's awesome.
Bernardo is
wealth of knowledge.
Right, and he is doing what, Byron? When is that?
2 weeks.
28th.
28th of this month?
Yeah, it's on the
Yeah,
class
it's on the
calendar,
calendar.
guys. And if you didn't hear this, I'm gonna say it again. I was at lunch with Bernardo And he said, I don't know, this was about a month ago, and he's like, I
Yeah,
don't know what to
like
do.
an
I know
hour.
it's about a buyer's agreement.
Right.
And he goes, I've been using one for 25 years. And plus, he was one of the first 10 agents in this brokerage and been
Yeah.
a top producer for the last 25 years. So if this guy's going to give me a free class on how to use a buyer's agreement in the conversation, he told me he always has an hour meeting
yes.
with a potential client buyer before he ever showed him the first property, sent him an email or anything. That was just his business practice. So I would jump in on his class. It's
That's the
freaky.
28th. Yeah, just keep in mind, I mean, we're working all together so that we can help you get through all this.
Yeah,
You
and,
know,
and we're gonna get to it. One quick, little housekeeping thing too, that the girls put on my thing. $33 fees coming out in September 1st.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
freak out. We didn't bill you twice. That's the city of Clearwater charges us a business tax receipt fee for every agent we have. So you're gonna have an additional $33 come out, on September 1st. I think it'll run around the 2nd or 3rd or something on your credit card. So you don't need to call the brokerage. It's okay. It really is.
it's gonna be fine.
It's fine. It's $33 once a year and we fully dispose. All right, that's it. You got a
Yeah.
closing thought? Closing thought?
The only thing I wanted to follow up with is, with adding commissions into the contract. Definitely, even if you have that compensation agreement, I think it's important to go ahead and put it into the contract as well. That way you've solidified it. Other than that, I think everybody's doing a great job and we're all trying to work together and move forward. So, keep up the good work.
Yep.
We talked about the buy down, so don't forget about that, that we're offering for 1 year. But also there is still money left in the Hometown Heroes. There's a little under 20 million. So if you got some buyers that are on the fence, let's see if we can get them qualified for that. That's free money and get them in a home.
All right.
All right.
Cool.
All right. Excellent. Appreciate all of y'all being on. We'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
There you go.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, guys.